Alrighty, Lumberjacks, welcome back to another episode of FDR Logging. The responses from these episodes has actually been quite fantastic. Oops, I'm gonna drive ahead here with my autopilot. Yeah, I've been getting lots of really good feedback from people, both in email and on Discord and kind of all over the place. Just saying they're happy to have some commentary. I guess people were getting pretty bored of the time lapses, so I totally understand. I totally get it. You know what we're going to do? We've been cutting shorts for so long with 8 meters, or actually we just switched to 8 meter shorts, didn't we? Maybe we should continue this row. I was going to switch to longs too, just to kind of change it up a bit. Maybe we'll keep going with the 8s just so we get a few rows here, and then eventually we'll switch to the longs up on the next deck. Because I was going to switch over to them, but now we are not going to. I was going to show you guys kind of how I do longs, and how I determine the length of longs. Maybe we'll do that on the next pile up top here. So we'll get these sorted out, which won't take that long at all because there's not a huge amount of them. Based on when I record these videos, I'm not sure when this video is coming out. I'm sure FS25 will be out or pretty close to being out by the time this video comes out. They just did a thing talking about the introduction of tornadoes. Tornadoes. Now listen, it's a video game, I get that, but who in God's name asked for friggin' tornadoes? You know what I think's going on? I'm pretty sure Giants as a company is sitting there watching like American media and just waiting for whatever the next hit is, and then they add it to the game. Because I mean, what that movie Twisters came out, which I still haven't seen. It sounds like it was alright. The old Twister movie was alright with Bill Paxton there, but honestly, it's like that movie came out and it was a big hit for what it was, I guess. I still haven't seen it, so maybe it's really awesome, but I'm not a big tornado movie guy. I could give a crap less, to be honest. But it seemed that the tornado introduction to Farming Simulator kind of fell in along the lines of the Twisters movies, and I thought that to be a little too coincidental. But like, what are you doing? Like, I don't know. I feel like there's so many more things you could improve upon the game, that you could take that time it took to build tornadoes in the game. Why not work on improving things, other things in... I mean, there are modders that have created... I mean, you guys have probably played with the terraforming stuff, right? Where you can dig into the ground and dig your own holes and do that kind of stuff on the maps. Now, why wouldn't they take the time to cut tornadoes out and focus on something like that? Because that is an amazing, amazing mod. That's what kind of stuff I want to see improved for this game. And yeah, does it sound like I'm being cynical? I absolutely am. I'm being judgmental and cynical about it, but it's I see the gimmicky stuff like tornadoes, and I just think it's just cheesy as all hell. I mean, I don't know what I suppose they're going for like younger audiences. Maybe they're aiming at like kids and stuff to get them into the game because, oh, there's tornadoes. Oh. But most of the people I've spoken to, and maybe it's just the adult side of things, but most of the people I've spoken to are just kind of like, why? Who asked for this? You know, like, why are we doing this? This doesn't make any sense to me. I don't know. I think I've just been in this too long, watching the development over the years as a modder, and I'm just like, I give my head a shake sometimes and go like, what are you doing? And I mean, it doesn't, honestly, like, I watched the video of the tornado before and after effects. It doesn't even look that great, to be honest. Like, it looks really cheesy. It reminds me of like a really bad video game from like the early 2000s that does like a cutscene where a tornado comes over, and oh man, I don't know, man. I just saw that and I was like, oh man, this game is just, I don't know. And like I said, I hate to be, I don't know, how do I say this? So it's kind of like society, I guess, you know. It's like, and again, I don't want to go down any wormholes here in case we get written up for it or called out in our videos for, you know, talking about sensitive subjects. I just feel in anything, whether you're in a business, whether you're in society, whether you're building a game, whatever, right? I feel like some people, like, you can stand on what you believe in and go, this is awesome, I love this, and when something stupid happens, you call it out and say this is stupid, right? Or you can just say everything is great all the time and follow the sheep herd of people. I hate to use the term sheep because I feel it's overused for things, but the cattle, right? Follow the cattle down the ramp, and even if you don't really like it, you pretend to like it because that's what everybody else is liking, right? That seems to be just the way society goes these days. And that's kind of where I differ in a lot of ways. Is if I don't like something, I don't do it. I think it's stupid. I'm not just going to pretend. If it's something I'm required to do at a job, I might not like it, but I'll do it because it's part of the job that I'm getting paid to do, right? That's different. But in things like media or even this farming simulator, I absolutely have nothing but respect for the company Giants. I really do. They made this game, they created this engine, they made everything that we have possible here. So I'm not knocking the company in terms of like them, producing what they've produced. I just feel like they've taken a real dive in the wrong direction of the simulation side. But again, that's my opinion. Maybe that's just me. That's I have a way I want to see the game go, and they have a way that they need to have it go. And I mean, business-wise, maybe throwing a tornado in there will create more better dealings, I guess. For the fan base that they're chasing, right? Maybe that's more tailored towards the people they want. Maybe it increases the numbers, increases business profit, and all that kind of fun stuff, right? But in my case, as a modder, I am very like, why would you do that? There's so many better things I wish you would have spent the time on. But I don't know. I don't know about the inside world of the development team or anything like that. So everything I say is all speculation. I don't have that relationship with them, but at the same time, I feel what I feel I am not going to not say in this world of Farming Simulator, because I feel it's good to express how you feel about stuff. And I'm not trying to be like a troll and say everything sucks. I think there's lots of developments that have happened in this game that are fantastic. Do I wish they focused more on certain areas? I understand they're never going to focus heavily on the logging side. That's just because the logging is way less of a niche than, or it's way more of a niche than the farming side of it, right? So I don't expect the logging to become more and more intense over time. But any development to the actual engine or development to the game itself plays in turn with the logging, with the world that we're playing. So as much as I hate, like I had that one video where I talked about my cynical views on the FS 2025 game, right? And I had some feedback about that being like, oh, you should just love it all because you should, right? And it's like, don't be a whiner and hater like everybody else. And it's like, okay, well, I'm not a hater by any means. I mean, we're all playing this game. We're all using this game, right? We all take it for granted, I'm sure, that we have access to this awesome game that we're playing. But, and I mean, I appreciate it. I do. But with the cost of buying new games and the lack of developmental changes, in my opinions, that happens in the game, I feel almost obligated to call that out, because it's like, it's probably part of just our lifestyles now, like our economy or everything, right? Where you want to get the most bang for your buck. So if you feel like things aren't really greatly improved, and I think I talked about this in that video where I was being cynical, right? I talked about how companies everywhere, right? I think I explained like the iPhones, the whatevers of the world, creating basically the same thing and reproducing it over and over and over with minor changes in order to make more profit, right? Releasing the same phone every year in a row or every 6 months, and then moving giving it 1% more power and moving the charge port around, or changing the button layout on the screen, giving it one extra pixel or something. That apparently sets the tone for it to be, a consumer to buy that again for another $2,000 per phone or whatever it is. So yeah, I kind of feel that way with this game right now. I kind of feel like there's a little bit of I don't know, reusability going on. But anyway, when I saw the tornadoes thing, I don't know. Most of the people I talked to were just like, what in the good God is going on? Like, what is this? Why are they doing this? Like what kind of cheesy thing are we doing here? And so it's not just my opinion. I mean, I got that opinion from a lot of people, and I totally get it. Like, I don't know, I think it's pretty ridiculous. So, I don't know. I think it's stupid. That's just me. I really want to see more development of the actual game itself. And like, I get it if something's not possible and I'm asking for, like, I as a modder understand that. You know, some people ask me for impossible things and I go, well, if I could, I would, but I can't, right? But something like the terraforming situation, right? That mod that lets you dig into the ground. I thought for sure after the last year, a few years it's been out, I thought for sure Giants would jump on that. Remember when the Seasons thing came out? I think they hired the developer for the Seasons and all that. Or I think it was Seasons. And they hired that modder to do the development stuff for it, right? I thought for sure the terraforming would become part of the gameplay for sure because it was so popular. I mean, there's guys doing it with mining, there's guys doing it with farming. Like, it's super duper popular. And when I heard that, oh yeah, there's going to be, there's going to be changes with the terraforming or the ground stuff, deformation and all that, I thought, oh buddy, congratulations, they finally did it. They finally hired one of those guys to come in and help with that, right? Oop, grabbing into our pile here a little bit. But they didn't. Instead, you get some little tire tracks on only muddy fields from the looks of it in the videos. And again, I don't want to recant my whole other episode that I talked about all this stuff, but it's just, I saw the tornadoes things and it made me irritated, so I was like, whatever. I don't know, maybe I'm just, maybe I should just hold my tongue on that, I don't know. I feel like people should express it though, right? Like, if you're annoyed by it or you think it's stupid and you want different development, you kind of got to push it to the developer. Yeah, anyway, I could go into that deeper, but there's really no point. I already covered pretty much all my opinions on that in the next one. But the game's not out yet, or maybe it is by the time this video comes out, but I'm going to go in there and I'm going to have a good run through. Maybe I'll put out a little review or something for my own interest from a modder's perspective on how I feel about it. Because I got some opinions for sure. But we'll see. So you know what? Now we're going to switch to longs because I want to show you guys some stuff about long log cutting. So we're going to switch. So, okay, before I switch, I'm going to show you guys what I do. So I have lots of emails from people that come in and they ask me, they say, how do you determine what length of logs you want to cut? So I usually do 6-meter logs or 8-meter logs for short logs. So those ones are 8s over there. And then those ones I think are all 6s down there. So both sizes will fit on that short logger truck. So it's not like a big difference between them. Just the 8s are a little bit longer, obviously. So now when I'm deciding to cut longs, I have to determine how much I can get out of the wood. Because a lot of people say, oh, I tried doing longs, but the trees are too short and I don't get the full tree and then I get the ugly ends, blah, 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 blah. So what I do generally is if I'm starting an area and I want to determine a size, if I want to get the best recovery out of the wood, at least in this game, real life, different world, right? Because you have different lengths to cut and there's all kinds of different stuff. So what I'll do is I'll find the smallest tree, the shortest tree, which is usually the small diameter ones. So these are usually the small diameter ones. So what I'll do is I'll grab the smallest tree out of the pile and I'll just run it kind of back and forth here and I'll look at it. So the first one I would try is maybe a 13 meters. Or yeah, let's try 14. Let's push our luck. So I'll turn on my processor head. I set it to 14 meters. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to run this log out. So I'm going to run it and we'll see where it stops. So that's 14. So that's kind of like right on the money there, right? That's kind of right where I want it. But if it wasn't, say I wanted to go longer or shorter, I would just roll off that tree, drop it, and then pick it up again, start over, shweek, whoops, run it back, and just kind of run it back. Okay. Then I'd go in here, change the setting, and I would just keep trying different sizes. So if it was too long and the tree ran all the way out to the end and you got like the top ugly bit there, shorten it down, go to a 12, go to an 11. If it's too If it's too short, like you want to cut more of the tree because you still have lots of tree left, you can up it, right? So then I go up higher. So right there, that was a 14. So I'm going to leave it at 14 because 14 seemed like a really good number. Then what's going to happen is when I run out these smaller trees, there we go. A 14 is going to land right about there. We still have a little bit of it's a pretty sharp top on it. Probably wouldn't be regulation for our British Columbia processor stuff, because I think 4-inch top is the most you can have up here. But you know what? That's okay. We're playing a game. So again, this is a bigger log, so I'm going to get way more than a 14 out of this if I wanted to. But I'm going to leave it at 14, cut it there. Now we have this little piece on the end. So there's not enough log there to run it out to get a full-size 14. So what I'll generally do is make a separate shorts pile at the end. So I'll run it out to kind of about like where it feels like there's still a little bit of meat in there, and I'll just give it a snip. And then you have that kind of medium-sized piece there. And then what you can do is you can either cradle those into the load, which I don't know if I've gone over in this video or playing this yet. I don't think we've had to cradle because we haven't done longs. So again, here we go. We had a nice 14, but now we got this little piece out. So you can line it up with your other piece to manually kind of measure it out if you want, and then just give it a little snip. And they don't have to be dead on for the tops. That top pile, you can just run them, and it's not the end of the world. It really depends on how you want to do it. Starting a long pile is kind of a pain in the butt. When you first start off, the logs kind of go all over the place. So we're just going to run this over here. Again, it's about that distance. So again, just try to keep your ends lined up as much as possible. And then as the pile builds up and it gets bigger, I'm just going to grab some bigger trees to start it. If you start with the larger trees that you can find in your pile, if you have larger ones, those ones are great to lay down on the base. And again, sometimes it goes like, see, it goes way over there. It's not where I want it at all. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut that and leave it aside. It's kind of an ugly spot there. Let's cut that about there. So that's not what you want. You don't want the logs crisscrossing like that. So if I get out, you can see how it's crossing the pile like that. You don't want them on an angle. So what I'll do is I'll just grab that log and I'll fix it. And this will get easier as we build the pile up a bit. So we're going to lift this up. Oop, there we go. And I'm going to slide that right in between here, watching my right-hand side as well while I'm running it so I can see where the end is. Try to line that end up so when I drop it, it should roll right in there, just like that. Again, so grab another little guy here. And because these are lighter trees, your head's going to go a little more wild. Oh, and see, that one wasn't quite a 14. So you have the option either to cut that smaller, or you can just leave it in the deck with it just being a little bit shorter. In this case, I'm just going to leave it in the deck because I don't really care. Once you get a loader with a big grapple on there, you're going to be grabbing hordes of wood, and it's still long enough it'll fit between the stakes pretty well, so you're not going to have any issues there. Again, we have another little extra piece, so we're going to run that out. Let that end kind of line up over there, and give it a little snip. And we just leave that little kind of medium-sized short pile over there. They're almost like an 8-meter log. They're pretty close to those 8 piles over there. So you could probably mix them in with the 8s if you really wanted to. Okay, grab that one. And we have so many of these tiny little pieces that's going to take like a nightmare of a long time to get through this. So this, again, is a short one. The best thing you can do is try to line it up. Sometimes it's hard to see the ends, but try to leave the gap on this end as opposed to leaving the gap on the other end, if that makes sense. So like on this end, you see these trees are a little bit shorter, so we'll want to leave that gap on this end, and then if we can, try to get this end as flush as possible. Like, these are not 100% perfect, but that's the goal. We're kind of on a hill here too, so the physics are probably not playing very nice with us. Our pile will probably float down the hill just a wee little bit. Again, when you're rotating out of these piles, make sure you're tapping that processor rotate button just a little bit. Because the trees are lighter, you don't have to hit it too hard, but you got to give it a little bit of love there. And yeah, you kind of just get in the groove and cut away. Now, the only thing you're going to find is when you go to cut tops, well, we'll have one here in a second. So again, rotate your head. I know that part's not the most realistic, but we had that discussion earlier in an earlier episode. So let's grab one more big one. I'm going to show you guys something. So because this head it's not 100% realistic, obviously. So when I cut this, right now it's free. So the head is basically freely goes up and down as I lower it. And what I mean by that is this pivot point in the center will allow this head to go up and down and up and down on its own as the tree runs. But the second you make that cut, so after you cut it, so it's still in the tree. So as you can see, if I push it down, the head goes down with it. And as I lift it, the head will actually droop down towards the top end where the weight is. But if I switch to manual mode, where I just run the tree, what'll happen is the game resets the processor and tries to go back to 0. So like if I run this out, watch what happens. It'll snap up. See that little snap? So what's happening there is it's auto-correcting back to its original cut position that you had it in. And that is just basically how the game reacts to it. You can set the original position by raising or lowering the head. So if I wanted that to be my original position, after I make my cut, it will return to that position. That's your 0 position. Again, probably not realistic. In real life, it's probably a little bit different than that, but you can set it in the top position or the bottom position based on what you're working on. But if you guys are processing and you're noticing that snap happening, that's what that is it's just going back to its original cutting position, which I think a lot of people don't understand because I get a lot of comments about that. So you just, again, it's just all about, like, you just need time and work with the machine long enough and you'll kind of figure it out. A lot of this stuff, physics-wise, is all the same. It doesn't change. Functionality and control change a little bit, but the actual physics themselves are pretty much identical across the board. So yeah, then you sit here and you can process all your tiny little trees for 2,500 hours. Again, these smaller trees are kind of a your choice if you want to process them all like this. Another thing you can do is run them out and manually cut the ends if you really want to. I personally, when I'm doing longs, I like to run each tree like this because, one, it's not as slow as shorts, and this way I kind of guarantee my tops or my trees are laying in the deck properly that I'm building. But if I run 2 at a time, it's really easy to lose my place. It's really easy to... So like here, let's give you an example. This one might actually go. See, again, lining them up. So if I make a cut here, one's going to be a little shorter than the other one. But you can run them if you want. The problem is I can't really see down that end very well to see where my cut's going to be. With shorts, it's a lot easier. So like if I cut it here, like I'm just taking a guess, I can't really see the other end. So I don't know how far I went. So see, this one's like quite shorter than it needed to be. So yeah, like I said, when you're doing longs, you don't really have that visual. It's not as good. So I'll generally try to run every single log when you're doing longs, which can be time consuming when you're cutting these weird kind of shaped ones here. We kind of got this slipping out here a little bit. So I'm going to grab this, try to correct our line just a teeny bit. There we go. And again, you want to do your best to try to keep it in a straight line. I mean, it's not the end of the world if you get a little crooked, but it's definitely better to do it. And again, yeah, time and practice. It's like anything in any place in life. If you practice at it and keep going and put a lot of hours into it, you will become second nature with it. There we go. And I see some trees are crossing over here. Oh, it's going kind of weird. But as you can see, now that I have my deck kind of built up a little bit more, the logs will ride on top of them. And that is kind of just like real life, where they'll ride on top of the trees a little bit more effectively. So you see, these are kind of going at like a 45 because the deckerman, who was me a minute ago, was probably talking and not paying attention to where he dropped them. So what I'll do is I'll actually just grab these and I'm going to drag them right over here and drop them. Dook. Same with this one. Because you want these all in a straight line. They start going at weird 45-degree angles. It's kind of wacky. So see, as soon as the top hits that deck, it just slides nicely over the logs and it just falls kind of right into the deck and you don't have to like fight with it. When you're first starting a row, as you saw at the beginning, I was kind of fighting with what angle they're going and what direction, which is kind of a pain in the butt. But now all the logs are going exactly where we want them to go, which is pretty cool. Because basically you've just created yourself a ruler, a guide there, and it'll just fall within and slide along the logs that already exist, and it auto kind of corrects it out as you go. And then you don't really have to fight with it. It's not going to run off onto either side or get buried in the ground or, oops, I shouldn't have run that one. Whoop. So that was my mistake. I accidentally hit cut. And you can't stop it once it starts running, which is kind of annoying. That's just part of the script, though. So if you ever do that where you have one running and you didn't want to run it, it's kind of a pain in the butt getting it out of the pile. So what I'll do is, well, here, let's do it again. Let's mess up. Let's grab one of these big guys here. I love teaching from mistakes, because mistakes are the best way to learn. Okay, so let's run this down here. Okay, so now say I don't have enough in that tree to make another 14 long. So pretend I accidentally hit run. Oh no, so what I'll do is I'll pull the head back like this and let it drop on the end. And the reason I do that is because now it's really easy to grab. But if you drop it and it shoots down to the middle of the pile, it is such a pain in the butt trying to like dig into the pile to fish out little pieces. So if it's over here, I can just easily grab it, rerun it, and then manually kind of give it a snip. So if you have a panic, oh crap moment, just try to sway the head in a direction where it's not going to be mixed in with the pile and shoot it off to the side. It's obviously probably not a real life tip, because I think in real life you can dead stop it in the middle of a run. I'm pretty sure. I didn't process long enough to know that, but I'm sure someone in the comments will correct me. And I'm expecting I will probably be going back and getting a bunch of comments in the next couple episodes. Just because I've been recording a lot of these episodes ahead of time, I haven't really been caught up with the comments, so please don't think I'm ignoring anybody if you're asking questions in the comments of these videos, because videos I recorded a month ago are probably just coming out now, so it takes a little bit of a back delay. But yeah, keep the comments, keep the questions coming. I do like to hear from you guys, especially if you have anything you want to, any conversational pieces you want to talk about. Again, obviously I can only go so far because I don't want to get my videos removed again for controversial subjects. Anything related to politics, gender, race, that kind of stuff is pretty much off limits on YouTube, I would say. Unless you're one of the big guys or something, I guess. I don't know how that works. Because I've watched some videos on YouTube that I'm like, how is this video allowed on YouTube? But maybe they're just big enough channels or something that they can get away with saying some of the stuff they say. They're making YouTube enough money. Maybe that's it. So anyway, yeah, politics, gender, race. Those seem to be the big ones that get you written up. Or war. Don't talk about war either. That's a bad one. I just said the word. Maybe I'll get the video pulled for saying war in a video. But that seems to be another one that's getting guys. And one of them got me too. If you're talking about any current present wars, anything like that, that's bad stuff apparently. Pretty bad. Okay, I'm gonna finish this pile and I think we'll be good to go. But hopefully this will give you some nice tips and trips. I can speak English. Tips and tricks. I always record these videos first thing in the morning, and my brain is not like 100% active first thing in the morning. So trying to talk and explain what I'm doing, I'm sometimes like, does that even make sense what I just said? It's like, oh well, I said it, so it's out there. Perfect. So yeah, like I said, the tips and tricks of the longs can be handy. The one thing with longs that's kind of nice compared to shorts, well, I guess it's either or. Longs, I feel you can work the trees a little bit better in different areas, because longs I can cut on uglier hills and leave them there, and I don't feel like you get as much roll or anything from them. So, oh, we actually got a top. Like if I'm cutting on a really sketchy block with like really weird long hills or really sharp areas, I feel I can get away with cutting them and leaving longs on a weirder angle as opposed to shorts. I feel shorts are a little bit more of a nightmare, because shorts like to creep down the hills with this game's physics too. So, and when you're processing, you get faster. You start to chase the logs and do weird different things. And so, for instance, I just automatically start spinning. I know where my grab is. I start turning and I run it back as I'm going and then shoot it. And it's not like special skills. It's just when you do it too long, you learn what makes it faster so you can get it over with sooner. If that makes sense. All right, so that's pretty good. We nailed through those. Again, when you're cutting longs, you also cut a lot faster because your piles are like you're not cutting as many logs. Like it takes longer to do these kind of decks because you're doing so many cut, stop, making the little tiny cuts. When these ones, you're basically just grabbing, running out the tree, and then other than these little shorts that you're stuffing in the end of the deck, it doesn't really slow down. You're going pretty fast. So maybe in the next one when we come back, we'll do some loading stuff because we're getting kind of up there. Or I could just keep cutting. I don't know. We'll see kind of how it goes. Again, I like to have like a huge pile of logs in front of me for like miles if I can before I start doing loading videos. Because then I come in and do like some severe long-term loading, which is pretty fun too. So anyway, I hope you guys learned some cool stuff about processing on this video, and we'll catch you guys in the next one. See ya.